If the feeling of global conflict has intensified lately, I mean, to an almost unbearable degree, where blurred lines and escalating threats, they create this really chilling sense of foreboding,
Hmm.
then, well, in some ways, welcome to World War III.
It feels like that sometimes, doesn't it?
It really does. Today, we're plunging into a, frankly, profoundly unsettling development that's reshaping modern warfare. Our deep dive is going to unpack the emergence of a new generation of jet-powered kamikaze drones. These are now being deployed, and we need to understand why they pose such a significant and honestly rapidly growing threat.
Mm-hmm.
We're here to distill the tactical implications, the economic ones too, and the huge challenges they present for, modern defense strategies.
And it's really quite remarkable how these systems are reshaping the battlefield. We're not just talking about new tactics here.
No.
It feels like a fundamental shift in the very economics of war,
No, okay.
which brings up a really crucial question, doesn't it?
Which is
What does it truly signify when a relatively low-cost weapon can exert such a high-stakes, often devastating impact on a conflict?
That's precisely what we need to unravel. Okay, let's start with a stark, pretty recent example. The early hours of August 28th, 2025.
Okay.
Russia unleashed one of the largest drone attacks we've seen in this conflict's history. A relentless barrage, nearly 600 drones targeting Ukrainian cities. Kyiv, the capital, was hit particularly hard.
600. That's an incredible number for one attack.
It is, and the human toll that night was immense. 14 civilians killed, 4 of them were children, and dozens more injured. Beyond the tragic loss of life, the destruction, it inflicted immense psychological terror, damaged critical infrastructure, too.
Of course, the disruption must have been huge.
Exactly, but here's where things really took a turn, where the nature of this conflict seemed to shift. Wreckage from that attack confirmed the use of a new type of drone, jet-powered, a kamikaze drone.
A new variant.
Yes, identified as the Shahed 238, or the Gueran 3 in Russian designation. And this wasn't just some small upgrade, it marked a terrifying leap in capability, one that really challenges modern air defense.
And putting the specific event into the bigger picture, that August attack wasn't really an isolated incident, was it? It feels more like the culmination of a very worrying trend.
How so?
Well, if you look at the whole month of July 2025, just before that attack,
Yeah.
Russia launched an astonishing 6,297 Shahed-type drones against Ukraine.
6,000 over a month.
6,297. That's the highest monthly number recorded since the invasion began.
Wow.
This massive volume, it just reveals a clear and, frankly, escalating reliance on these drone swarm tactics. It's a doctrine designed to simply overwhelm defenses through sheer numbers. Quantity becomes a quality all its own.
That's an astonishing number. A true wave of incoming threats. It's hard to even picture. And if you're finding this deep dive into modern conflict as, well, eye-opening as we are, maybe take just a moment to hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps us continue bringing you these crucial analyses.
Yeah, it makes a difference.
We'd also love to hear from you. Why do you tune into these deep dives? What keeps you coming back for these conversations? Drop us a comment below. Let us know. Now, okay, let's break down the strategic advantage these weapons really provide. These kamikaze drones, or maybe more accurately, loitering munitions.
Because they can wait. Right. Circle before striking.
Exactly. They can wait for targets. They're essentially low-cost guided missiles. They fly to a target, explode on impact. Simple concept. But their true kind of insidious power lies in their ability to just saturate air defenses.
And the economics of it.
Oh, the economic disparity is staggering. It's almost hard to believe. Each Shahed drone, the older ones, costs around, what, $30,000 to $40,000 to produce?
Something like that, yeah. Relatively cheap in military terms.
Right. But compare that to a single anti-air missile used to intercept one. That can cost millions of dollars.
It forces this brutal, almost untenable choice for the defenders, doesn't it?
It really does.
This creates a serious economic imbalance. One side can deploy hundreds of these low-cost drones maybe every night, effectively forcing the other side to burn through incredibly expensive resources just to defend against them.
So the question becomes...
Yeah, the key dilemma is, how long can you sustain that kind of asymmetric cost curve before it just completely erodes your defensive capabilities?
And it's not just military targets being hit?
No, absolutely not. And that's crucial. These drones deliberately aim for critical civilian infrastructure, power grids, hospitals, apartment buildings, homes. The intent seems clear: erode civilian morale, spread widespread terror.
A terror weapon, essentially.
In many ways, yes. Now, we have seen Ukrainian innovation like deploying these FPV first-person view interceptor drones, trying to find cheaper countermeasures.
Right, drone versus drone?
But the sheer overwhelming scale of Russian production, it maintains this constant heavy pressure. FPVs are limited in speed and range. They can only partially alleviate the problem.
Right. It helps, but it doesn't solve the core issue of scale and cost. Okay, so to really grasp the magnitude of this new Gueran 3, this jet-powered one, we should probably first understand its predecessor, the original workhorse, right? The one that started this whole trend.
Good idea. The Shahed 136.
Iranian designed, but mass-produced in Russia as the Gueran 2. It's got that distinctive delta wing design.
Which is key for stability over long distances. Lets it travel really far.
Physically, it's pretty sizable, about 3.5 meters long, wingspan of 2.5 meters, weighs around 200 kilograms at launch, and carries a fairly substantial 50-kilogram explosive warhead.
And the propulsion system, it seems basic, but it's, well, remarkably effective and crucially cheap to make.
What is it exactly?
It's powered by a two-stroke, four-cylinder internal combustion engine. Apparently based on a German model, generates about 50 horsepower. This drives a rear propeller, gives it a top speed of only about 185 kilometers per hour, which sounds slow.
But the range.
But the range, exactly. That's one of its most impressive features for such a simple system. It can travel anywhere from 1,000 up to maybe 2,500 kilometers and operates at altitudes from like 60 meters up to 4,000 meters.
So low and slow, but it can go the distance.
Yep.
And its guidance, how does it find its target?
It relies on GPS and inertial navigation. And a really crucial detail here is its heavy dependence on smuggled Western components.
Like what?
Chips from companies like Texas Instruments, ST Microelectronics, things like that.
Huh.
They find their way in despite sanctions.
And how's it launched?
Usually from mobile ramps, using a rocket booster just for the initial takeoff. Then it flies autonomously to its designated target coordinates.
What really strikes you about the Shahed 136, beyond its capabilities, is just how it's made. It's built from very basic materials, right? Like foam, plywood, plastic, fiberglass.
Yeah, and it incorporates readily available off-the-shelf commercial components. This simple, almost rudimentary design is precisely what makes it so cheap and incredibly easy to mass produce on an industrial scale.
And that scale is key.
Oh, absolutely. What's truly groundbreaking here isn't just the drone itself, but the production numbers and the strategic doctrine they enable.
Where are they being made?
The main facility seems to be the Alabuga factory in Tatarstan. Reports suggest it's churning out thousands of these drones per month. By mid-2025, some reports indicated a rate of 170 drones produced per day.
Per day?
Per day, with plans apparently to double that output by the end of the year.
How are they achieving that scale?
Well, it seems to be partly through the use of young labor, including teenagers, according to some reports, and a heavy reliance on Chinese components to bypass sanctions on Western tech. This massive scale allows for those saturation attacks we talked about. They just overwhelm radar systems.
And Russia hasn't just copied the design, they've improved it.
Yeah, they've continually tweaked the original Iranian design, adding things like more destructive thermobaric warheads. Those create a longer, more intense blast, devastating in enclosed spaces.
Okay, so that's the baseline, the Gueran 2. Slow, cheap, numerous, and getting more destructive. But now, the Gueran 3.
Right, and just when you thought drone warfare couldn't get more complex, the Gueran 3, or Shahed 238, really does feel like it's thrown the rulebook out the window.
Because it's jet-powered.
Exactly. It replaces that piston engine of its predecessor with a small turbojet, providing something like 300 kilograms of thrust. And this radically changes its performance.
How much faster is it?
Compared to the Gueran 2, which, lumbers along at 185 kilometers per hour, the Gueran 3 can reach speeds up to 600 kilometers per hour.
600. That's more than 3 times faster.
3 times faster. That speed difference is absolutely critical.
What about its other specs? Size, payload?
Fuselage length is similar to the Gueran 2, but it has a slightly larger wingspan, about 3 meters. Takeoff weight is higher, around 380 kilograms, and critically, it can carry a larger warhead, 90 kilograms.
90 kilos, delivered at 600 kilometer.
And it still apparently maintains an impressive range, maybe up to 2,500 kilometers.
Wow.
So the immediate challenge becomes clear. This high speed makes it perform much more like a mini cruise missile,
Right.
which drastically reduces the reaction time for air defenses.
Exactly. You can imagine a layered attack scenario, can't you?
Oh, definitely.
You send in the slower Gueran 2s first, maybe deliberately drawing attention, making defenders use up their missiles.
Forcing them to engage, yeah.
Then you follow up with these faster, more elusive Gueran 3s. Maybe even mix in traditional missiles, too. It feels like it's designed to utterly saturate and overwhelm any air defense system.
It's almost like sending in a slow lumbering tank just to draw fire, then unleashing a precision-guided missile once the enemy's depleted its defenses kind of thing.
That's a good analogy.
And what truly stands out, I think, is that while the Gueran 3's jet engine does mean it have a larger thermal signature, a larger radar signature.
Making it easier to spot, in theory.
In theory, yes. But its sheer speed largely compensates for that. It makes it incredibly difficult to intercept successfully. So the key dilemma now for defenders is how do you effectively counter a threat that moves this fast?
Especially when your existing, cheaper interceptors are too slow.
Exactly. Like those Ukrainian FPV drones we mentioned. They fly at maybe 200 kilometers per hour max. They're rendered completely ineffective against something zipping along at 600 kilometers.
So it forces a complete rethink.
An urgent rethink, yeah, of defensive strategies, pushing the boundaries of what's feasible, what's affordable, the whole new ballgame.
So taking all this into account, what are the immediate consequences for Ukraine's defense right now?
Well, historically, as you said, they've been incredibly effective against the slower Shahed 136s. Shoot-down rates were often reported as high as 80%, maybe even higher sometimes.
Very effective.
But the initial assessments against this new jet-powered Shahed 238, they suggest a significantly lower success rate, perhaps only 50 to 60%.
That's a huge drop.
It's a massive drop. And crucially, intercepting these faster, more agile drones requires far more expensive systems. Heat-guided missiles, more sophisticated radar.
Which just exacerbates that economic imbalance we talked about earlier.
Precisely. It risks becoming a truly unsustainable arms race from the defender's perspective.
Is there any silver lining here, or is it all bad news?
Well, putting this in a wider context, there's perhaps a glimmer of hope, for now at least. Russia is reportedly far from achieving mass production of the Gueran 3 at the same scale as the Gueran 2.
Why is that? Harder to build.
It seems largely because the components, particularly for those small turbojet engines, are much harder to acquire. Many of these essential parts often originate in Western countries, like Germany has been mentioned.
Despite sanctions.
Yes, they get routed through other nations, intermediary countries, often without the final destination being known by the original manufacturer. It's complex supply chain maneuvering.
But the potential is there.
The potential is definitely there. And this compels us to ask the really uncomfortable question. What if Russia does overcome these supply chain challenges? What if they manage to scale up Gueran 3 production to match the Gueran 2 levels hundreds per day?
The impact would be...
The source material we looked at starkly warns that drone attacks, especially those directed against civilian targets, would become, quote, even more terrible and lethal than they are today. The potential humanitarian implications are, well, profound.
So today, we've taken a deep dive into this evolving threat of jet-powered kamikaze drones, from their overwhelming economic impact to the specific, really urgent challenges they pose to modern air defenses. It's just a stark reminder, isn't it, of how quickly the tools of conflict can change and escalate, pushing the boundaries of what we even understand about modern warfare and forcing a critical reassessment of global security.
And this really compels you, the listener, to consider. In a world where low-cost, mass-produced weapons can potentially outmaneuver and overwhelm highly sophisticated, incredibly expensive defenses, what truly defines military advantage in the 21st century?
That's a heavy question.
It is. And what does this whole paradigm shift mean for the future of global security? And maybe most importantly, for the protection of civilian populations worldwide?
Keep those questions in mind as you navigate the news and the information that's out there. If you found this deep dive valuable, please do subscribe, give us a like.
Let us know what you think.
Yeah, tell us in the comments what part of this discussion caught your attention the most, or even just where in the world you're listening from. We always find that interesting. And if you're ready for more insights into this evolving landscape of conflict, check the show notes for links to some of our related deep dives exploring the realities of modern warfare. We'll continue to unravel these complex topics right here on The Deep Dive.